Hey friends, it's Corey from Hey Let's Make Stuff, back with another sublimation tutorial. In today's video, we're going to be making sublimation beer mugs. So Father's Day is coming up and a sublimation beer mug would make a great gift. Of course, you don't have to make these for just fathers or husbands. You can also make them for anybody who enjoys a cold beer on a warm day. In this video, I'm going to be showing you two ways to sublimate on these beer mugs. The first is using a tumbler press, and then we're going to do the same project in the sublimation oven. I do have a free file for you today. It says dad jokes. I think you mean rad jokes. It's perfect for anybody out there who is just really tired of dad's puns. You can grab this free file in my craft library at heyletsmakestuff.com/library. There you can request the password if you don't already have it and log in. This is sublimation file S34 and you can find it in one of two ways. The first is to click the sublimation button and you'll be taken down to the sublimation section where you can find S34. You can also use the find function on your computer, Control F if you're on a PC, Command F if you're on a Mac, and you can search for S34. Once you find the file, there will be 3 links. The first link is to download the file to use with your sublimation printer. The second is the link for the blog post for this video, and the third link is this video. Let's talk about what we're going to need to make this project. Let's pop over to the overhead view so you can see all the things that I have here. First up, I have our sublimation mugs. These are sublimation specific and they are frosted. I really like the frosted version more than the totally clear version. I will link to these in my list, and I think these sublimated really well. You're also going to need some alcohol and a microfiber cloth. You're going to need some butcher paper, so I've actually cut mine down to size to wrap around my mugs here. If you're using the sublimation oven, you're going to need some shrink wrap that will fit your mug. You're going to need some heat-resistant tape, heat-resistant gloves, a heat-resistant mat, a pair of scissors if you're using the sublimation oven, and then of course I have my images. So I've printed out both images here. I have them reversed. This one is in color and this one is just black. Let's start with the tumbler press. So for this one, I have my press over here heating up to 360 degrees, and I'm going to be pressing this for 240 seconds, so it's quite a long press. We're going to start by cleaning our blank. In the overhead view here, you can see that I'm cleaning my entire blank, not just where I want to put the image, because this whole thing is going in the heat press. And if there is any fibers or dirt or dust on our mug, that will actually sublimate. So we want to make sure we're cleaning the whole thing. While we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and clean the second mug so we can use this one in the oven in just a little bit. Once the alcohol has evaporated off the mug, we can add our image. So I'm just going to line it up here. You can do an image on both sides if you would like. I'm just going to do a single side for this one. So I'm going to put it down here. I'm going to put one piece of tape on all 4 sides. You want to make sure it is as flat against the mug as you can make it. You don't want any air pockets. All right, just like that. Then we're going to grab our butcher paper. I have 2 pieces of butcher paper here, and this is basically going to protect our press. So when this heats up, the ink can blow through this actual paper here and leave marks on your press. The butcher paper will help stop that. So I'm going to grab a piece of tape here, and we're just going to wrap the butcher paper all the way around. I'm just going to use one piece of tape under the handle here to hold that butcher paper on. Now our press will be protected. And that's it. This is ready to press. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this right in here, making sure I have that handle sort of centered. And I'm going to press it for that 240 seconds. All right, my press just went off, so I'm going to grab my mug and I'm just going to set it aside for now. Next up, we're going to sublimate using the oven. So we're going to prepare our blank similarly, and then we're going to use shrink wrap instead of that butcher paper. Remember that I already cleaned this one, so I don't need to do that again. And then I'm going to put my image on here, and I'm going to tape it just like I did with the other one. Now, instead of using the butcher paper, we're going to use shrink wrap. And shrink wrap basically is going to shrink to the size of our mug here, and that is what creates the pressure that you need to be able to sublimate. So this is a bit big, but it will work. I've already done it, so I know it will work. But what we need to do is cut out a hole for the handle. So I have my scissors here, and let's see, in the overhead you can see that I'm just going to cut out like sort of a little moon shape over here on the side. It does not need to be neat and tidy, just a place for the handle to go. Then we can put our glass inside the shrink wrap, just like this. And the handle should come out that hole that we made. You may need to make your hole a little bit bigger. I just need to slice it just a little bit more here. Like that, so that the shrink wrap will lie flat against your image here. Now to make sure that this shrinks properly, I am gonna put some tape under the handle. Let me grab a couple pieces of tape here. We want to tape this basically flat under the handle, just like this. And then I want to make sure that where my image is, that the shrink wrap is also very flat. So because I have so much extra shrink wrap here, I'm actually going to tape it on the other side. Some people will have you pre-shrink this using a heat gun. Honestly, for 99% of projects, I have not found it necessary, so I don't waste my time. But you can try it shrinking it with the heat gun if you prefer, but honestly, this stuff shrinks up so quickly in the oven that I have not found it necessary. For this one, we're gonna bake it at 385 degrees for a full 12 minutes. This is a long time in the oven, but that is because this is quite a heavy piece of glass and it needs time to actually heat up so that it can sublimate. All right, I just pulled the one out of the oven and it's still very hot, so I am gonna use my heat resistant gloves. The scissors and the weeding hook can come in really handy here. You wanna remove this shrink wrap while it is still hot. It is just so much easier to remove than it is if you wait for it to cool. So I'm just gonna kind of chop into it a little bit here. And then let's see, you can pull it off. Just like this. Now while that one continues to cool, I'm gonna grab the one that was in the press over here. It is still a little bit warm, but I can touch it. It's not that hot. So we're gonna take off the butcher paper first, just like this. And I wanted to show you here that you can see there is an imprint of that ink on the butcher paper, which means that if I didn't have this butcher paper, it would actually show up on my press and it might actually press to my next projects. So that's why you want to use that butcher paper. And then I'm going to grab my weeding hook. I find it just easiest to kind of pull up the image here. I pull off all that tape. Try not to scratch the glass. Just using it sort of as a wedge more than anything to kind of lift up what we're doing here. All right, this one turned out perfectly. So you can see here that this sublimated really nicely. The color is really fun, but I know that a lot of dads are kind of like, I don't want something with color, so we do have the darker option here. All right, this one is still really hot, but we are gonna remove the image here, just like this. Oh, you can see here, this didn't actually happen in my test. For some reason, it didn't get as dark here, and I'm not honestly sure why. I did it exactly like I did the other one. Let me grab the other one so we can check it out. So you can see here, I did these exactly the same, and I'm honestly not sure why this one didn't do quite as good as this one. It looks like I may not have had enough pressure here. However, I did them exactly the same. So if you are struggling with sublimation and something comes out like this, know that it happens to the best of us. I do this all the time. Clearly I did one just fine the first time, and for some reason, and the second time it didn't work as well. I'm really not sure what the difference is here, but you can see that with the same time, same temperature, same everything, I did get a better result the first time I did it. And that's how you make sublimation mugs. I actually think I know why this one didn't work, and that is because I actually didn't flip it in the oven like I did with the first one. I rotated it and flipped it in the oven, and I think that's why the first one turned out better. I didn't flip it on the second one. I just forgot. So make sure you're flipping it partway through because I think you're gonna get a much better result. Overall, I think I prefer making these in the tumbler press just because I think it is a little bit easier than the oven. It doesn't require that whole shrink wrap step. However, an oven is more versatile because you can make projects like this, anything as small as shot glasses, all the way up to dog bowls. You can make pens. You can make a lot of things in a sublimation oven that you can't make with just a tumbler press. I hope you found this video on making sublimation beer mugs helpful. If you have any questions or you need help troubleshooting, go ahead and leave me a comment. Follow my channel for more sublimation, Cricut, and laser content. I'll see you next time.